Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 crimes that people would most likely commit for money. Every now and then, everyone is tempted to run afoul of the law. Whether it's running that red light or taking that small item without paying for it, most people have at least contemplated breaking the law. So, well, what stops us? For most, it's simply the fear of getting caught. But imagine if that was somehow lessened by a reward. What if you were paid for the criminal act? Well, it turns out you can put a price on morals, because here are 10 crimes that deep down we'd totally do for cash, according to studies. Number 10. Stealing candy. In honor of Halloween, the overseers of one study asked participants how much money it would take to convince them to steal candy. Participants stated that for just $50 they'd agree to steal the candy from a young child who was trick-or-treating or from a local store. The survey found that 84.7% of men would steal candy, while only 75% of women would. Overall, women were less likely to commit crimes for cash than men. The generation of the participant of the survey also had a noticeable effect on their likelihood to commit said crime. Nearly 85% of millennials said they'd steal candy for money, while only 73% of Generation X and 60% of baby boomers admitted that they'd do the same. Number 9. Running a red light. While running a red light may seem innocuous, a dangerous intersection could lead to fatal results. That is why it's pretty surprising how willing participants were to commit such a crime. More than 88% of men and 77% of women admitted that they'd run a red light for financial benefit. In this case, men needed more money than women to commit the deed, asking for $300, while women only needed $200. Similar to our last case, baby boomers were hardest to convince, with only 67% agreeing to run a red light. That percentage increased to 79% for Generation X and a whopping 87% of millennials. Number 8. Peeing in public. Everyone has had to deal with it. Shoes sticking to the floor of the train, that smell in a parking lot. It's a crime that many have committed, yet will never admit. It turns out, though, that with a little monetary incentive, people would do more than admit to the crime, they would actually carry it out. Overall, 81% of surveyed participants stated that they'd be willing to urinate in public. Understandably, women were much less willing to carry out such a crime and asked for a much handsomer price. The going price for a woman to pee in public was $1,000 compared to just $200 for men. Also, while 88% of men said they'd pee in public, only 74% of women would share their convictions. Surprisingly, the baby boomer generation was more likely to pee in public than steal candy. We guess for baby boomers, little urine never hurt anyone then. Number 7. Vandalizing property with graffiti. While some people might view graffiti as art, it's a misdemeanor and can be punished by 1 year in prison. The participants in this study needed $1,000 to engage in vandalism, with 76.8% of participants agreeing to carry out the misdemeanor. Again, men were more likely to commit the crime than women by a margin of 82% to 70%. We don't have any generation information on this one because the people who conducted the survey did not ask for that information. Number 6. Punching someone or assault. If you haven't noticed by now, as we get into this video, our crimes are getting a little darker. Just wait for number 1, by the way. Assault is a serious crime. Indeed, depending on the injury, it could result as much as 15 years in prison. But a simple punch is not going to do much damage, right? That must have been the thinking with the study participants on this one, who agreed to assault someone for $1,500. That's the median. Slightly more than 71% of participants agreed to punch someone, with 77% of men agreeing, while only 65% of women said the same. Women actually asked for more money here, asking for $2,000, while men asked for $1,500. Interestingly, we've actually got data on a state-by-state basis here. You want to know which ones were more willing to smack people in the nose? Well, those are those primarily located in the Midwest, the North, and the Central regions, in states like North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. Number 5. Grand Theft Auto. No, of course, we're not talking about the video game here, probably a greater thrill, and that would be the thrill of escaping in a stolen car. However, this is something that's much more difficult, and the likelihood of incarceration gets a lot higher. This means that only 55% of those surveyed said they'd steal a car for cash, and the price tag, it was not cheap. A payment of $120,000 median would be needed to compel them into action. The women who agreed to steal a car, however, would demand a payment of $250,000. Indeed, it seems that for people who'd be willing to steal a car, they'd have to be paid enough to buy a house. Number 4. Burglary. The results for willingness to burglarize a home might actually be pretty surprising to you. The percentages for robbing a home and stealing a car were nearly identical, with burglary coming in a single percentage point lower. However, burglarizing a home only took a payment of $70,000 for participants to agree. Once again, women needed more to commit the crime, asking for $50,000, which was twice as much as the men. Number 3. Robbing a store. The crimes continue to get a little more serious as we begin to round out this video. One doesn't have to look too far to understand the grave danger of attempted robbery. From a store owner pulling a gun to police arriving on the scene, robbing a store is no joke. That did not stop 52% of participants from admitting they'd rob a store for a certain amount of cash. So, what amount did they demand for this? Well, that would be a cool $250,000, which is certainly more than they'd find in any cash register. In the biggest disparity yet, women asked for $500,000, while men only asked for $100,000. Willing female participants continued to shrink, with only 44% agreeing to rob a store. Luckily for us, the male participants drove the numbers higher, with 59% stating that they would commit a robbery for money. Number 2. Robbing a bank. Now, while robbing a convenience or a liquor store can be dangerous, carrying out a bank robbery is unquestionably more so. And yet, 57% of men deemed that they'd be willing to rob a bank if they were guaranteed upfront cash. $2 million was the average amount for men, while women needed $8 million to commit the same crime. Women were also far less likely to rob a bank, with only 42% saying that they would take such a risk. Bonnie Parker, well, she's probably turning over in her grave right now. Number 1. Murder. Taking another human life without a justified cause is probably the most depraved of criminal acts. But did that stop our surveyed participants from admitting a willingness to commit the crime? Absolutely not. However, the price tag rose astronomically. These men and women would not find work as hitmen because the asking price for murder was $100 million for men and $500 million for women. Those more likely to commit murder for cash reside, just as with assault, in states like North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. If you want to live in a state with residents less likely to kill for money, move to the mountain regions of the US like Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana. Either way, it's pretty shocking and hard to believe that people would commit such acts with just a monetary incentive. But of course, we have to keep in mind that this is just hypothetical, and that when put to the test, many would likely back away from their prior convictions. At least, we certainly hope so. So I really hope you found that video enjoyable. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Do not forget to subscribe. Brand new videos just like this every other week. Also, I got a brand new channel. It's called Biographics. We look at biographies of people from history. In case you couldn't tell by the title of the channel, you'll find a link to it in the description below. I'd love it if you went and checked it out and subscribed if you liked it. And as always, thank you for watching.